The second I pulled into my driveway during that raging blizzard, I knew something was wrong. Snow was piled more than a foot high, wind screaming between houses like a freight train, and my hands were still aching from clearing a 12-car pileup on Highway 9. All I wanted was heat, light, and the quiet hum of my backup generator fighting the storm for me. But the hum wasn't there, where my generator should have been, secure beside the fence. Tucked just out of sight, there was nothing but an empty patch of snow and a set of drag marks leading straight toward the street. My stomach dropped. The house was dark. The security system was offline. The temperature inside was already falling. And the one thing that kept my home protected when the grid failed was gone. Someone had stolen it. And given the timing, the location, and the fresh tracks, I knew exactly who had done it. 20 minutes later, there she was, standing in her doorway across the street, arms crossed, watching me struggle through the snow with that smug, satisfied grin that only certain people know how to wear. "Keep your ugly, noisy trash out of our upscale neighborhood," she sneered. "You welfare deadbeat." The metallic taste of rage flooded my mouth. She thought I was just another blue-collar nobody she could bully out of Pinewood Estates. She had no idea she'd just declared war on someone who could dismantle her entire life with few carefully placed phone calls. But before I tell you how that ended, let me back up. Who I am and why I moved here. My name is Earl Bachman. I'm 52 years old, and 8 months before that blizzard, the people of Millfield County elected me sheriff. Not bad for a guy who started as a beat cop 28 years earlier. But nobody in Pinewood Estates knew that. I'd just gone through a brutal divorce, the kind that drains your savings, your energy, and your sense of direction all at once. My ex-wife kept the big house. I kept the legal bills. And my teenage daughter, Emma, got stuck splitting weekends between two parents who were both trying to figure out how everything went so wrong. I didn't want sympathy. I wanted a reset. So when I found a modest 3-bedroom ranch in Pinewood Estates, I jumped on it. Quiet street, solid construction, and most importantly, a detached garage where I could work on my old pickup in peace. That truck, a rust-patched 1998 Ford F-150, was intentional. I could afford better. But I didn't want attention. Flying under the radar had kept me alive more than once. The generator was part of that same mindset. After 3 decades putting criminals behind bars, you learn something. Some of them remember your face. That generator didn't just keep the lights on during storms. It powered my cameras, my motion sensors, and my backup systems, especially important after my last major drug trafficking case earned me more than a few threats. So when it disappeared, I didn't just lose electricity. I lost security. Meeting Felicia Worthington. I met Felicia Worthington 3 weeks after moving in. I was unloading groceries from my truck when she clicked across the street in heels that made no sense on cracked asphalt. Perfect hair. Perfect makeup. A smile that never touched her eyes. She looked at my truck like it was leaking radioactive sludge. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said, in a tone that clearly meant the opposite. "I'm Felicia, HOA president. We'll need to discuss community standards." I could smell her perfume from 6 feet away. Expensive, aggressive, trying far too hard. "Nice to meet you," I said. "Earl Bachman." Her eyes flicked from my face to my work clothes, then back to my truck. I could practically hear the assumptions clicking into place. "Well, Earl," she said like the name offended her, "we pride ourselves on maintaining property values here." She drove a BMW with a plate that read Bless One, apparently blessed with the personality of a parking citation. At the time, I didn't think much of it. That was my mistake. The generator and the war. The blizzard changed everything. After I confronted Felicia that night about my stolen generator, I tried, briefly, to believe we could handle this like adults. The next morning proved me wrong. Right on schedule, Felicia marched up my driveway with an official-looking folder clutched to her chest. 2 HOA board members trailed behind her, looking uncomfortable and silent. "Good morning, Earl," she chirped, as if she had insulted me less than 12 hours earlier. "I trust you had time to consider your situation." That's when it clicked. This wasn't about noise or aesthetics. This was a systematic effort to push me out. The violation notice was printed on HOA letterhead, stuffed with legal-sounding language designed to intimidate, confuse, and overwhelm. They'd even invented something called emergency aesthetic standards, banning visible weather protection during so-called community showcase periods, which I later learned meant any time potential buyers might be nearby, they prioritize appearances over protection. And that told me everything I needed to know about Felicia. The first cracks in the facade. What Felicia didn't know was that before law enforcement, I worked quality control. When you spend years looking for defects, you can't turn it off. So I started looking. The first thing I noticed was a community pool, Felicia's pride and joy. Gorgeous stonework, sparkling water, no safety equipment, no ring buoys, no reaching poles, no posted emergency procedures. Texas Health Code requires all of that for pools serving more than 20 families. We had 67 homes. Then I checked the playground. No inspection tags. A call to the county confirmed it hadn't been certified in 3 years. I documented everything. Photos, timestamps, measurements. Then I emailed the board politely, suggesting safety issues be addressed before aesthetic fines. Felicia's response came within 2 hours. Your continued harassment of this board is noted. These matters do not concern individual homeowners. Your violation fine stands. Harassment for trying to keep kids safe. That's when I realized Felicia had no idea what she'd been ignoring, and that ignorance was about to cost her everything. The lighting in the lie. As I kept inspecting, more problems surfaced. The decorative lighting along the walkways looked beautiful, but something felt wrong. No electrical permits. A retired firefighter neighbor, Jerry, confirmed my suspicions. These junction boxes aren't rated for burial, he said. And the spacing near those trees? One storm away from live wires and wet branches. Then I found the invoices. The lighting installation had been billed by Richmond Landscaping Services, registered to Felicia's husband, licensed for landscaping, not electrical work. And worse, his license had expired months earlier. Unlicensed electrical work isn't just a violation. It's a crime. Escalation. When I raised the issue again, Felicia didn't deny it. She threatened me. Certified letters. Attorneys. Liens. Then she crossed the line. She started asking neighbors about my mental stability, calling my children's school, creating fake community safety companies to intimidate me. That's when I stopped playing defense. By the time Felicia started calling my kids' school and inventing fake community safety organizations, I knew this fight had crossed into dangerous territory. This wasn't about HOA rules anymore. This was about control, money, and fear. And fear makes people sloppy. The cascade begins. I stopped responding to Felicia directly. Instead, I started making phone calls. Not threats, not complaints, just facts. First call, Travis County Health Department. Second, Austin Fire Marshal's office. Third, Texas State Board of Architectural Examiners. Fourth, Code Enforcement. Fifth, Environmental Protection Agency. Sixth, Texas Attorney General's HOA Division. Each call followed the same script. I'm reporting documented safety violations affecting 67 families. Each agency asked for evidence. I had plenty. Photos, invoices, licensing records, HOA bylaws, emails, certified letters. By Friday afternoon, I had filed 7 formal complaints, each one cross-referenced so no agency could ignore the broader pattern. What I didn't expect was how fast things moved. When the government shows up, Monday morning, my phone rang. Mr. Bachman, this is Travis County Health. We're scheduling an emergency pool inspection. Tuesday, Fire Marshal Rodriguez called to coordinate a joint electrical inspection. Wednesday, the EPA opened a stormwater modification investigation. By Thursday, 6 separate agencies were circling Pinewood Estates. Felicia finally called me, and for the first time, she sounded scared. What exactly have you done? She asked. I reported safety violations. I said calmly, the same ones I tried to discuss before you threatened my home. She hung up. Documentation wins wars. I didn't stop there. I organized everything into what I call a documentation fortress: digital backups, hard copies, timelines, inspection maps, code citations. For each agency, I prepared walkthroughs explaining exactly what they'd find and why it mattered. When inspectors arrived, I didn't argue, I didn't speculate. I just showed them the facts. The reports, the findings were devastating. Fire marshal, 12 electrical code violations creating imminent fire hazards. Health department, immediate pool closure due to missing life-saving equipment. Code enforcement, multiple unlicensed construction violations. EPA, illegal stormwater modifications. Attorney General, financial self-dealing and fraud. One inspector said it best: "I've never seen this many violations in a single residential community." The smear campaign. Felicia's response was predictable. She emailed the entire neighborhood, calling me a vindictive troublemaker, weaponizing government agencies. She warned of special assessments, falling property values, financial ruin. Fear worked for a while, until neighbors realized something important. I wasn't inventing the violations. The government was confirming them, the line she shouldn't have crossed. Then Felicia went after my kids. She questioned neighbors about my mental health, called my son's school pretending to represent the HOA, suggested instability at home. That was it. That's when my attorneys stepped in. "Document everything," she said. "She's desperate, and desperate people make mistakes." Felicia made several. The fake inspectors. One morning, I found Felicia in my yard with strangers holding clipboards and tablets. Fake inspectors. Fake company. Fake authority. I recorded everything. Within hours, the Attorney General's office escalated the investigation. Criminal harassment, the detective said. Possibly fraud. The house of cards falls. Then came the financial bombshell. The AG discovered over $300,000 in HOA contracts funneled to Felicia's husband across 6 communities. Expired license. Unlicensed work. Split invoices to bypass homeowner approval. This wasn't incompetence. It was organized fraud. The final meeting. Monday night. The community center was packed. Felicia stood at the front with a PowerPoint about protecting property values. She didn't know I brought guests. The fire marshal, the health inspector, an AG investigator. When they spoke, the room went silent. "These are not minor oversights," the fire marshal said. "These are life-threatening violations." The health inspector followed. "Children have been using an unsafe pool. That's unconscionable." Then the AG investigator delivered the knockout. "We're recommending criminal charges for fraud, unlicensed contracting, and harassment." Felicia tried to deny it. I played the recording. Her voice filled the room. The vote happened immediately. Felicia was removed as HOA president. The aftermath. Repairs weren't cheap. Electrical remediation. Pool safety equipment. Playground rebuilds. Environmental cleanup. But here's the twist Felicia never saw coming. The HOA insurance covered 80% of the costs. Why? Because insurers hate unlicensed work more than they hate expenses. Felicia and her husband faced charges. He lost his license, paid restitution, did community service. Felicia moved away 3 months later. What we built instead. The community didn't collapse. It got stronger. Quarterly financial transparency meetings. A standing safety committee. Emergency preparedness plans. Clear storm protection policies. Property values rose. Not because things looked pretty, but because buyers saw a community that protected its people. The real win. My sons learned what standing up looks like. One of them wrote his college essay about watching his dad refuse to back down. Both got into their top schools. I found new purpose helping other communities audit safety and governance. And we created the Sarah Bachman Community Safety Fund, helping underserved neighborhoods fix hazards before tragedy strikes. Because safety isn't disruptive. Ignoring it is. Final thought. If you've ever been bullied by an HOA, ignored for raising real concerns, or punished for protecting your family, remember this. Documentation beats intimidation. Truth outlasts power. And safety always matters more than appearances. Thanks for listening.